Good morning, students of class 12. Now, today, in my third class of this chapter, that is the chapter 2nd, that is Kings, Farmers and Towns. We are going to talk about the Mauryan Empire, right? So, if you remember that in my last class, we have discussed about the development of different states, and those states are known as Mahajanapadas, or the place where the people have set their food, that is the Janapad. And when this Janapad became bigger and bigger, that was known as Mahajanapadas. And among that Mahajanapadas, I told you that 16 Mahajanapadas were very important. Among them, 7 to 8 were most important, and the biggest of them, the most powerful, the most talented empire state was the Mauryans. I told you in my last class about the reasons behind the rise of the Magad. I told you the reasons that they were having forests, they were having elephants, they were having iron, they were having the river transport, they were having good agricultural field, and lastly they had very important and powerful kingdoms. And starting from the Haryanka dynasty, then the Nanda dynasty, and finally the Mauryan dynasty. And they were the most important. So today we will see the Mauryan Empire and how it became important for Magad. So the Mauryan Empire, it was established by a person whose name was Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya. This man, his origin, his background is little bit of dicey. Nobody knows from which background he is coming from. But he had one very good teacher. One Brahmin was his teacher, was his guru, who helped him to take the position. His name was Chanakya. So this Chanakya was the guru of Chandragupta Maurya, and this Chanakya had other names also. He is known by other names like Kautilya or Vishnugupta. So he has three names: Chanakya, Kautilya or Vishnugupta, the Brahmin who helped Chandragupta Maurya to sit in his throne. Now, as I am telling all these about the Mauryan history, about the Mauryans, about the Chandragupta Maurya and Chanakya, from where I am getting all these information? That means, what is the source of this period? There are many sources of history for this period of history. They are mainly, one, the inscriptions of Ashoka, where he has written about his background, about his family, about everything. And another source is definitely some foreign literature, like Megasthenes was one of the leader, one of the commander-in-chief of Alexander, who came to the Mauryan Empire, and he stayed here for a long time and wrote a travelogue which was known as Indica. Okay, so this was a travelogue by Megasthenes, who was a Greek man. So from this Indica we came to know about Mauryan dynasty. And one of the very important source for the Mauryan dynasty is the Artha Shastra. It is a book, it's a literature written by none other than Chanakya. So from the name itself, Artha Shastra, you can understand Artha means meaning and Shastra means rules and regulations. So Artha Shastra is a book of rules and regulations to understand it. And on another way, Arthashastra is also known as Arthaniti, that means economics. So in this book, you can understand the two things. One, the political history of the Mauryan dynasty and also the economic history of the Mauryan dynasty. Okay, so now we are going to the political history of this Mauryan dynasty. The Mauryan dynasty, it has a huge application. It has a very huge area under their control. Starting from Magad, which is known as the Bihar now, modern day Bihar and Jharkhand, it stretched up to Gandhar and Takshashila for a period of time, that is near Kashmir, and in the south up to Karnataka, and in the west up to Gujarat. So just imagine, we are talking about a time period of 6th century BCE. That point of time they are having an empire stretching from Bihar to Gujarat and Kashmir to Karnataka. It's not a matter of joke, right? So they must have something, they must have some of the very powerful tools to control all these things. Yes, one of the very important tool was their administrative system. What was their administrative system? What was the clique? The clique was they had different type of capital. Their first capital was Rajagriha, Magad's first capital, but later on when the Mauryan dynasty became the ruler of Magad, they shifted the capital to Pataliputra. Pataliputra is now the modern day Patna. Patna region is the Pataliputra. Okay, so Pataliputra was the main capital. It was the main capital, and along with Pataliputra they had 3 other provincial centers. Okay, they had the provincial centers were in Takshila, which is in Kashmir. So Takshila was one, another was Ujjain. Ujjain, it is in Kashmir, it is in MP, Madhya Pradesh, right? And they had Toshali and Suvarnagiri. So Toshali, another, and Suvarnagiri. This is in Karnataka. Okay, so these were 4 provincial capital. Like today we have the state capitals. That time these 4 were chosen as the provincial capital, and these 4 were chosen very diplomatically. How? This Takshila, Ujjain and Toshali, they were on the route of trade routes, land trade route. Takshila, Kashmir, Afghanistan, Ujjain, it's MP, and Toshali towards Gujarat. And Suvarnagiri, from the name itself you can understand Suvarna meaning gold, and Giri means mountain. So it was, Suvarnagiri was the one and only gold mine of India. So you can understand that these 4 provincial centers along with the capital, that is Pataliputra, 5 provincial centers from where the administration used to be controlled. So in the whole empire the administration was very strong. Along with the administration, another point or another equipment was very strong under the Mauryan empire. Due to what? Due to that, even the Alexander or the Greek soldiers, they were afraid of the Mauryans, the Chandragupta Maurya. What was it? It was the army. During that time, during the time of 6th century BCE, they had an army of 3 lakh people. Just imagine, in this coronavirus pandemic also we haven't touched 3 lakh people who are affected, but that time we had an army with 3 lakh people. Just imagine the number. And this army, the huge army, was divided into 6 groups. That is very interesting, right? What were these divisions? Number 1, the number 1 of this were definitely the foot soldiers. The foot soldiers were the number one, and they were the most important. They were known as infantries. They were known as the infantries. Then we have the next, that is very interesting. They have one group of provisions. Provision maker. They used to carry everything. They used to carry goods, they used to carry weapons, they used to carry food, they used to make everything for the soldiers, right? The third was the cavalry. Cavalry means those soldiers who used to sit on the horses or maybe camels or whatever. So this is cavalry. Then they used to have the chariots. Those soldiers who used to sit on the chariots and used to fight. Then number 5th, they used to have the elephants. The elephants, and those soldiers who used to sit on the elephant and used to control the war, right? And lastly, they used to have the navy. That means the rivers and seas were protected by the Mauryas. So you can understand that in 6th century BCE, we are talking about the army which they were having had 6 divisions, which is really, really commendable. And with this administrative powers, with this armed forces, definitely the Mauryan Empire was the pioneer of everything, right? So I'll stop here today and I'll continue with this chapter in my next class. Thank you.